By the time she was a teenager, her love of fashion had become an obsession, and like most young girls, she devoured the pages of fashion magazines, admired the models in TV commercials, and dreamt of runway fashion shows. She loved the makeup, the jewelry, the clothes, and the shoes. Oh, the shoes. She loved the glamour of it all. Fashion became her one true passion, and she dreamed of working in the industry one day. But there was one seemingly insurmountable problem standing in her way. You see, try as she might, not once did she find anyone in her stacks of magazines, on television, or on runways that looked like her. She came to understand that for people like her, who were always looking in from the outside, there were no lights, no cameras, no catwalks. There was no room in the world of fashion for her kind, and this realization broke her heart. But self-pity had never been her style. So, being the determined, ambitious optimist she is, she decided to do something about it. And what she did changed the fashion industry forever.
You've planted your dreams. It's time to release. No more fear. No more fear. Surrender in her. Trust you won't fall. Time to fly. Time to fly.
Hello and welcome to the Aquitaine Project, a podcast all about learning from women of yesterday and today how we can create a brighter tomorrow. I'm Marlo Mead, your host, guide, and fellow traveler, on a journey where together we explore the stories and legacies of women I affectionately call my bright lighters. For me, these amazing women transcend time, teaching us lessons we can use in our own lives every day, shining their light from different centuries, cultures, and corners of the earth. They invite us to become bright lighters in our own right. So if you're ready to learn a little, grow a little, laugh a little, and shine a lot, stay right here.
Free your soul.
What if I told you you have the power to change the world? Would you believe me, or would you discount such a statement as being silly, unrealistic, impossible? Most of us go through our daily lives not realizing, believing, or ignoring the fact that we, individually and collectively, have immense power and that our words, ideas, and actions can change the world. Human history is filled with people who saw a problem, issue, or injustice and decided to change things for the better. I'm sure you could name a few right off the top of your head. Sojourner Truth, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Steve Jobs. And while these noteworthy changemakers set a good example for the rest of us, there are people in every town, in every city, in every country around the world you will never know about, who are in their own way, claiming their personal power and choosing to make positive changes in the world. One such woman has taken the fashion industry by storm as she works relentlessly to break down barriers, erase stereotypes, and challenge our limited ideas of beauty. Jillian Mercado, fashion model, actress, creative, and activist, is changing the world Jillian style and invites each and every one of us to be the change we want to see in the world. Now isn't the time to change yourself to fit into the world. You should be changing the world to accept you, to let you exist as you are. Alexandra Bracken. You could say Jillian Mercado was born with a love of fashion. Her dad was a shoe salesman, and her mom was a dressmaker in New York City's Upper West Side. Some of Jillian's earliest memories are being surrounded by bright colors and beautiful fabrics, and sitting in her wheelchair next to her mother, being lulled to sleep by the rhythmic sounds of the sewing machine. She is certain this is where her love of fashion originated. Misdiagnosed with cerebral palsy as a child, she discovered at 13 she didn't have cerebral palsy at all. She had what is known as spastic muscular dystrophy, a form of muscular dystrophy that causes her muscles to spasm and contract. Despite growing up in a wheelchair and being told by her mother that she would have to work 10 times harder than others, Jillian was a happy child. Growing up in a very diverse neighborhood allowed her to be comfortable with herself. And as she got older, her love of fashion developed into a full-blown passion, and she would spend hours lost in the pages of her fashion magazines. By the time she was a teenager, she had developed her own unique sense of style, experimenting with different hair colors and styles, and starting her own cutting-edge fashion trends. She was, as my daughters would say, a true fashionista. Entering high school, she knew she wanted to become an editor or an editor-in-chief of a magazine. Then, one day it dawned on her that in all the years she had spent flipping through the pages of her favorite magazines, not once did she see anyone who looked like her. A model with a physical disability, let alone one in a wheelchair, was unheard of. Let's face it, the media can have a huge influence on shaping our ideas of beauty and how we compare ourselves to those ideas. Sadly, Jillian realized there might not be a place for her or anyone with a physical disability in the fashion industry. It's hard imagining yourself in the career you want when you don't have any role models to show you the way. But it turns out Jillian's love and passion for fashion were bigger than even she imagined. And despite feeling unrepresented, she continued to be drawn to the glamorous people in her magazines and on the catwalks. She knew it wouldn't be easy and that she would have to work 10 times harder than anyone else, just like her mom said. She also knew the fashion world was where she was meant to be. So in 2006, at the age of 19, Jillian began studying fashion merchandising at New York's Fashion Institute of Technology. Her plan? To learn the business side of the fashion industry from the inside out, so one day she could be the one to change the world's narrow ideas of beauty and create more inclusivity for people with disabilities in fashion. Over the next 4 years, she completed internships at Allure and Veranda magazine and started her own fashion blog. After graduation, she became a regular volunteer at New York Fashion Week. You know, that 1 week out of the year where fashion royalty gather to unveil their latest collections that no real-life mother of 4 can afford, let alone wear. As a volunteer, she struggled gaining access to the event due to her wheelchair and was told on numerous occasions that she didn't belong, but she kept coming back year after year, determined to stake her claim on the industry she loved. Eventually, her blogging and persistence at Fashion Week paid off, and she was given the opportunity to cover fashion events for PMC magazine. In 2013, her fashion career dreams took an unexpected turn when she attended a worldwide open casting call for a Diesel Jeans ad campaign. Even though she had no intention of becoming a professional model, her friends encouraged her to give it a go. So she did. She submitted photos and answered a few questions, including one about why she wanted to be part of the campaign. Her answer, and I quote, "'Cause I want to change the world," end quote. These words changed her life and turned the fashion industry on its head. Well, she made the cut, and in 2014, she participated in her first major modeling campaign. After the successful Diesel ad, she captured the attention of IMG, a world-class modeling agency, and was signed on the spot. She worked with Target and Nordstrom, and in 2016, she was featured in Beyoncé's Formation fashion line world tour. Since then, Jillian has appeared in just about every fashion magazine she used to pore over as a young girl. In 2018, her face was prominently displayed on a giant Olay billboard in Times Square. As her modeling career grew, so did her voice on the matters of disability rights. In one of her interviews, when asked about her role as an activist, Jillian said, "If I don't see it out there and I know in my heart and my soul that I belong here, I have to be that change." Those, sisters, are words of a true change maker. As an outspoken advocate for equal access and representation for people with disabilities, Jillian met with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to discuss the organization's efforts to address inequality, particularly among women and girls with disabilities, and to discuss what more can be done to achieve Goal 10 of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, which aims to reduce inequality within and among countries. Ever the risk taker, in 2019, she made her acting debut as Mirabelle, a queer and disabled immigration attorney on the TV series The L Word, Generation Q. Much like her TV character, Jillian works to humanize people who are queer and who have disabilities to the rest of the world, challenging the widely held ideas of what creatives with disabilities can achieve. In 2020, life came full circle, and Jillian found herself on the very runway she struggled to gain access to almost a decade earlier. During New York Fashion Week 2020, she made her runway debut when she modeled for The Blondes, a New York-based luxury apparel brand. Just imagine for a minute, rolling down the runway, surrounded by thousands of industry leaders and influencers at one of the world's most prestigious fashion events, in your electric wheelchair. Can you imagine the fear she experienced, the courage it took, and the pride she felt? I love the photos of her from this event. She looks fierce, elegant, and downright amazing. While her powerful presence on the runway made a very important statement, not just to the fashion world, but to the world at large, it was her tweet afterward that had the biggest impact on me personally, and why I love sharing her story with you. Listen to this tweet. This moment was brought to you by every single person who has a disability around the world that has felt unseen and unheard. For the countless times that we all have shouted for respect and equal representation, or for the times other people speak for us, not with us. For when we felt like we just didn't belong in this world because no one thought we were capable of doing anything. The times where people speak to everyone about our problems or our needs, but us. This moment is brought to you by a young girl looking through the magazine, collecting them to the point of basically being a hoarder, and watching fashion television while taking notes of how to be the best in the industry, being glamorized by the world of fashion and loving every single moment of what she saw, but wondering if she actually belonged, wondering if they would actually accept her for being exactly who she is, even though she never saw anyone who had a visible disability in those magazines or television. Imagining what that would look like was nothing but a dream, a fantasy, one that she was told again and again that it would never be possible, that the world wasn't ready, that the world wouldn't give her a chance. This moment, oh my gosh, I can't even get through this. This exact moment, it's for you. I've been through countless wars making sure that this moment was exactly how I imagined, through every obstacle you can think of. Determination helped me get to this moment, and those who believed in me made sure that it was as perfect as I knew I could be. Sisters, if I could drop my mic right now, I would. Well, after reaching what many would consider the pinnacle of her fashion model career, Jillian took on her next big challenge and created Black Disabled Creatives, an online hiring platform and community that features the talents of Black and disabled creatives in response to the lack of support and inclusivity within the Black community. Her job, as she sees it, is to keep the conversation about the rights and opportunities of people with disabilities alive, to tear down the barriers keeping people like her from achieving their dreams, and to open our eyes to the thousands of differently abled people around the world who have been invisible and ignored for far too long. Now, at the age of 35, Jillian Mercado, fashion model, actress, activist, and entrepreneur, has become the change she wants to see in the world, and she would be the first to tell us, if she can do it, we all can do it. Remember in the beginning of the podcast when I asked you if you believed that you have the power to change the world? What was your answer? Yes? No? Maybe? Well, whatever your answer, Jillian and I are here to tell you with a resounding yes. You, me, your mailman or lady, the person who lives on the corner, or the teenager who bags your groceries, we can all make the world a better place. Most of us have heard the saying, be the change you want to see in the world, but what you might not know is that this popular saying is mistakenly attributed to Mahatma Gandhi. Here's what Gandhi actually said in 1913, and I quote, "We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As a man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is and the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do." End quote. While Gandhi's message may be clearly captured in the shortened version, many credit Arlene Lawrence, a 1970s New York City school teacher and creator of the Love Project, with coining the now famous phrase. I guess it doesn't really matter who came up with it. What matters is the power we have to change our lives, our societies, our world is embedded in these 10 words. So let me say it again, just in case you missed it. Be the change you want to see in the world. Now, for the all-important question we'd love to ask here on the Aquitaine Project. Go ahead, say it with me. How, Marlo? How do we become the change? Well, let's figure it out together, shall we? Let's start by admitting that we humans are not perfect, and as a result, the world we have created is not perfect either. With that said, I'm sure we all have things we would love to see changed in the world, and we are often frustrated and feel powerless to make a difference. Well, I hate to break it to you, but our feelings of powerlessness is just an illusion. Let me paraphrase the words of the great philosopher, Winnie the Pooh. We are braver, stronger, and smarter than we think. Becoming an advocate for change, whether on a big or small scale, will require us to be brave enough to speak up, strong enough to stay the course when things get tough, and smart enough to align ourselves with people and organizations that share our goals and can amplify our voices. You know, all the Brightlighters I feature share one or more of these attributes. For instance, Dr. Justina Ford saw the lack of healthcare access for her community, so she stepped up and filled the void. And mountain climber Junko Tabai recognized there were no Japanese mountain clubs that admitted women, so she formed her own. Now, many of you may or may not know, I have a background in organizational leadership and development, and company culture is one of my favorite subjects. Being a change agent in the corporate world is in many ways similar to advocating for social or global change. As I was thinking about change in general and Jillian's story specifically, I remembered one of my favorite culture change and accountability models known as SOSD. See it, own it, solve it, do it. The concept of SOSD is part of the Oz Principle, a book by Roger Connors, Tom Smith, and Craig Hickman that uses the metaphor from The Wizard of Oz to illustrate the positive impact that personal accountability can have on organizational change. It's a great book and well worth reading. Check it out at www.theozprinciple.com. So, as I said, I was thinking about our power to change things, Jillian's story, and how the concept of SOSD can be applied on a personal level just as effectively as on a corporate one. And eureka! It dawned on me that see it, own it, solve it, do it, and creating positive change in the world are a perfect fit. Actually, we can use this model in our relationships at all levels, be it personal or professional. It pretty well fits in any situation I can think of. Let's use Jillian as an example. Basically, SOSD requires that we 1. See it. Recognize and acknowledge there's a problem. Jillian grew up not seeing herself represented in the industry she loves. There was no such thing as a model in a wheelchair. She recognized the problem was the serious lack of acceptance and inclusivity within the fashion industry of people with physical disabilities. This particular problem was getting in the way of her dreams and the dreams of thousands of others like her. 2. Own it. Take personal responsibility for the problem whether or not it really belongs to you. I know this can be difficult, but this is a hallmark of a true change maker. For Jillian, the problem was as personal as you can get. She was born with muscular dystrophy and had been in a wheelchair since she was 3 years old and in no way conformed to the usual and customary ideas of beauty. She also represented the very community being excluded from the fashion industry. 3. Solve it. Identify ways to fix the problem. Jillian saw the problem, absolutely owned it, and sought definitive solutions to make the fashion industry more diverse and inclusive. Her solution? Solve it from within the industry. She graduated from New York's Institute of Fashion and Technology, set her sights on learning everything she could about the business of fashion so she could become a voice in making decisions and opening doors for others with disabilities. And 4. Do it. Take action to resolve the problem. Well, Jillian certainly took action. She volunteered at Fashion Week despite many people not believing she belonged. She took a chance and put herself in front of the camera, which led to both a major modeling and acting career, which allows her to bring greater awareness to the issues facing people with disabilities. She met with key United Nations officials to shine a light on the need to address global inequality, especially those affecting disabled girls and women. She is a national speaker and a super advocate for the disabled community, and started a company that promotes Black and disabled creatives. Jillian is action in motion, and she's not done yet. There is no doubt Jillian Mercado saw, owned, continues to solve, and does what it takes to create the change she wants to see in the world. Where once she was the face of the problem, she is now the literal face and voice of the solution. How cool is that? I'm convinced using SOSD as a tool can help us become a catalyst for change in whatever way moves us. And for me, taking ownership, then taking action is the key. I came across a website called Heather's Hangout that has some really good advice on becoming an advocate for change, and I must say I agree with Heather on all accounts. Here are a few ways we can all tap into our inner change agent and find a way to make things better in the world. Find a cause you care about and get involved. There are tons of great organizations focused on advocating for thousands of causes. Choose one or a few that speak to your heart to ensure your time and talents will make the most impact. Educate yourself. You don't have to be an expert on every issue, but at least know the basics before sharing content. Maybe choose 2 or 3 areas that motivate you and learn a lot about them. The more you understand the problem, the better you can respond to varying points of view. If you're searching the internet, make sure you land on credible resources, please. Contact your local officials. Many people think they have to be a lobbyist or specially trained to meet with an elected official. Not true. These are your representatives working for you, regardless of whether or not you voted for them. They should be willing to hear your concerns. Call the office, attend a town hall, or schedule an office meeting. Be respectful, to the point, and let them know why your concerns or issues are important. You can share information with your family and friends. Be thoughtful before clicking that share or post button on social media. Make sure the info you have is credible, accurate, and can create positive change. Sharing education resources or sending out a call to action is a great way to engage people who might not know about the causes you support. And here's a really important one. Vote. U.S. politics is pretty ugly these days, but voting is your right and an opportunity to make your voice heard. You can't advocate change by sitting on the sidelines. Take time to learn about the candidates, their views and issues that are important to you, how they voted in the past, and their treatment of people. I know it sounds cliché, even futile, but every vote counts. I personally have voted in every election, local, state, and national, since I was 18 years old. Thank you for that reminder, Heather. Okay, here it comes again. We all have the power to be the change. As Jillian Mercado demonstrates, change can and does begin with just one person deciding to step up, speak out, help others, and work hard to create something better. Make your life an example of what you hope for the world. If you believe the world needs to be kinder, be kind. If you believe the world needs more generosity, be more generous. If you believe the world needs more faith, commit to practicing your faith more. If you believe the world needs more love and compassion, be more loving and compassionate. Now, go out and be that person. You take this world and make it what it should be, and don't let the beliefs of a backward system define you. You are the one who has to live with the future, baby girl. So you live it. You understand? Mary Weber to Best the Boys. 25 years ago, if you were to Google models in a wheelchair or models with disabilities, you wouldn't get any results. Conduct the same search today, and you're sure to find Jillian Mercado at the top of the list, and she's making room for the next generation of little girls and other disabled models to follow her lead and realize their own dreams of working in fashion. Smart, sassy, proud of being Latinx and representing her disabled community on the world stages of fashion, Jillian is breaking the rules to create change in an industry that has dictated what beauty looks like for far too long. Along with modeling, acting, and providing opportunities for Black and disabled creatives, she considers being an agent of change her job, and she is doing a damn fine job of it. So, in honor of this fashionista brightlighter who knows firsthand that one person has the ability to make a difference, let's challenge ourselves to use the power of our words, our actions, and our ideas to create the change we want to see in the world. Why I love this woman. When I think of Jillian Mercado, the term disabled is the farthest thing from my mind. To me, she is a fearless, funny, passionate woman, extremely capable of determining the course of her own life. Yes, I said fashionate, and I just made that word up. As a young girl, Jillian knew she wanted to work in the fashion industry, but people who looked like her were conspicuously absent from the halls of the international fashion houses, the hustle and bustle of the garment district, and the editorial boards of the fashion magazines that have set the standards of beauty and fashion since the founding of Harper's Bazaar in 1867. So, when she didn't see herself reflected in the pages of the fashion magazines, on the TV commercials, or on the runways around the world, Jillian made up her mind to recreate the fashion world in her own image and in the images of the millions of people who have been historically excluded from the socially accepted standards of beauty and glamour. Jillian once said, "It took a lot of courage to value my place on this planet." I love this statement. It speaks to so many of our doubts and fears about who we are and how we can make a difference in the world. This woman has not only changed the face of the fashion industry, she has started global conversations about the rights of people with disabilities, especially girls and women, to be given the same opportunities to succeed as people without disabilities. Today, as a model, actress, and social activist, she never thinks twice about challenging the industry she loves and changing it for the better by kicking down doors that have been closed to entire communities of disabled people, engaging in honest conversation about her own limitations and how she has overcome them with incredible style, and how she elevates the voices of those who have been historically ignored, undervalued, and marginalized. Jillian Mercado is the amazing Brightlighter who teaches us no matter who we are or where we come from, we all have the power to change the world. To learn more about the life and career of Jillian Mercado and her journey to change the industry she loves so dearly, click on her portrait on her episode page at www.theaquitaneproject.com. There you'll find links to stories and videos about Jillian that I think you'll really enjoy, as well as ways you can become an advocate for the change you want to see in the world. Let's connect on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Okay, my Brightlighters, light up the world, be the change, and do it in style so your sisters can find you.